there's a list out, and there's always a list out, but it talks about 10 defensive players that could impact/change the upcoming season. And there was a Lion on the list, Aiden Hutchinson. And it stands to reason that if he takes a leap this season, whatever you think the Lions are going to do, there's another level. The question is there a ceiling on this season for the Detroit Lions, and where would you put that ceiling at?
Ceiling is not where you think they're going to end up, right?
No, this is like the very tip top of what they could possibly achieve for the upcoming season. And we were talking about this pre-show, and Gov.
Mine's 12-5 if you're going to go record. That's my ceiling.
Well, Gov, you made the statement, like, could they win the Super Bowl? Is that on the table? Because if it is, then there is no ceiling on the season. Do you think this team can win the Super Bowl this season? And part of the discussion was if Hutchinson takes a big leap and he's a Bosa, and they were, 6-1 in games he had a sack last year. If he is that transformative, all of a sudden you are the Niners. All of a sudden you are competing with the Eagles. All of a sudden you are in the Super Bowl. So the question was, is there a ceiling on the season? You say no, they can't win a Super Bowl.
I don't think they can win a Super Bowl. I think they could. There's an outside chance they could get to one, and then you say, well, if they get to one, they go. No, I just think because if they win their division, they'll have the home playoff game, and they can win a couple games.
Listen, if they win the division and have a home playoff game and win it, that's a humongous deal.
Yes.
It's something that has not happened in over 30 years, okay? It's a humongous deal. My question is, though, is there a way to go all the way? Is there? And I think the Hutchinson thing is huge in this. It's like a 12-plus sack season. Him becoming a Pro Bowler, the first of being a perennial Pro Bowler. Amon-Ra St. Brown truly becoming a number one receiver in this league, respected along the lines of a Hines Ward type player.
Could he be a Cooper Kupp?
A Kupp, yep.
I think they would need Jameson Williams after suspension to be a legitimate guy.
Right. Infusing the offense, taking it to a next level while you're on the way. Maybe you're at a 4-2 start, and then it just goes to 13-4. It's like they just accelerate. And, Jim, when I asked you, you've got an absolute. Do you think your answer is no? There is no way. If there's no way, then you have a ceiling on the season.
I want to open up the phones, and then I'll tell you why I hate this question. 248-539-9797.
Great question.
And that's why it's a great question, because I hate the question, and I hope he's twisting you guys into knots, too, over this. If it's an easy answer, yes, you think they could win the Super Bowl, great, but is there a ceiling if the answer is no? Like, where do they top out at? 248-539-9797.
And I gave you mine, 12-5.
And I respect it. Why I hate the question is, I am super excited for this season, and I'm going to be painted as the bad guy again because of this. I think they're going to win this division. And, Stoney, if they're going to win the division, it's probably 10, 11 wins.
Yeah. Ceiling,
could I see them win 12? Sure. Do I think they're the Niners or the Eagles at this point? No. I think they've got an O-line reminiscent of those teams. They don't yet have a defensive line on the level of those teams.
Especially the interior.
Hutchinson could go a long way, and maybe you bump them up and say, yeah, there's a world where they could go toe-to-toe with those teams. But, Stoney, if they get to the promised land and they face Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, Lawrence, is that 6 elite quarterbacks who would have had to go through one another in shootout-style football games?
Well,
do I have to say Goff isn't those guys? Is that what this conversation is going to turn into? Is me saying Goff isn't going to beat Mahomes at his own game?
No, okay, but if Goff gets to the Super Bowl, then, anything can happen. So I don't think it's a Goff issue there. Is Goff better than Mahomes or any of the quarterbacks you mentioned? No, I don't think.
But this is not just, you don't have to be to win
Goff.
it. Okay, so I believe the Eagles are Super Bowl champions if they play anybody but the Chiefs last year. And you saw it in the fourth quarter with Mahomes, just like he did against the Niners. I believe Jimmy Garoppolo would have a ring, but he ran into them. Like, I think the Eagles, I don't buy the Debo argument that the Eagles would have lost to the Niners if they had Purdy. I think it would have been a game in the fourth quarter,
right?
A completely different game. But the Eagles are like the example of what the Lions could be this year. They caught a couple breaks along the way to kind of navigate their way. They got Danny Jones at home in the first playoff game, and then the Niner situation. That's what those breaks could happen in the NFC for the Lions. What Stoney, I think, is saying is they're going to run into the brick wall
right
in a Super Bowl. But if this team, look, I don't think it's impossible. Jared Goff's gone to a Super Bowl, and it was a great defensive game plan by the greatest coach of all time to beat him. They were in that. Remember that fourth quarter? It was still 3-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Low scoring.
So they were doing that to Tom Brady on the other side of the football. It can happen, but it's got to be so dang perfect, I think, this year. I've been feeling like if this is truly flipping with the Lions, I know we all think in the back of our mind, oh, no, the rug's going to get pulled out.
Right.
The Lucy, Charlie Brown, blah, blah. But if it's one day it is going to change, and I think this is one of the best opportunities for it to begin changing, is you're going to get a season like this reminds me of if it works, and I know it's going to sound nuts. It reminds me of the 85 Bears, the precursor years. So 82, 83, 84. If you've seen the 30 for 30, they started getting a collection of their guys. And I really believe that is what the Lions are becoming, like the Bugs and Kaminsky's of the world. Those kind of guys were on the 85 Bears, and it got inflated into like almost borderline stars because that team was such a one-year single-season team. I'm not saying they're becoming that. What I'm saying is they have I believe that they can escalate rather quickly like that team did.
I see the runway here because you draft Jack Campbell to play the middle of your defense. You want to stop the run. You want to be able to slow down a Philly team that relies on running the ball, a Niner team that relies on running the ball. I think this team gets what they have to do and who they have to go through.
Right, but they still don't have the personnel up front to stop the run.
Yeah, I would say defensively, they got to stop the run and have Hutchinson become a premier pass rusher.
Right.
And he's well on his way to doing that. Great rookie season. Those two things happen. Now they're equal to the Niners and the Eagles, and they're an NFC title kind of team. Right?
If they can stop the run.
So
yes.
maybe that's my ceiling for the team as it stands. And if Goff hits another level and everything else on the roster crystallizes, yeah, they could win a Super Bowl. But the more ifs I say, then I guess, yes, I am putting a ceiling on the season.
Would you be shocked if they made the NFC Championship game?
I would be surprised.
I wouldn't be completely shocked.
I wouldn't either. And I do think that they, if this is working out the right way, okay, and it's a huge if with this franchise, that they have a chance to escalate the way the Eagles did last year, where they barely made the playoffs, and the knock on the Eagles the previous year was they beat a bunch of bad teams to get in the playoffs at the end of the year, and then they got trounced by Brady down in Tampa.
So does Goff have a Hurts season? Remember, because people were a year ago, people were not sold on Jalen Hurts.
No, I know.
People were like, he's all right. He's all right. He went to another level last season, and I think some of that is supporting cast, great O-line, great run game, smart play caller. Gee, aren't we saying the same things about the Lions? If Goff were to have a Hurts-like leap, and the defense got stout up the middle, and Hutchinson, Zabosa, like, that's why this question, I think, is such an interesting one. Like, is there a ceiling for the Lions season, and what would have to go right for them to exceed even the high expectations
Besides
that we have?
the obvious health issues that every team has, I think for them, on the offensive side of the ball, Gibbs and Montgomery have to be better than Williams and Swift.
I think they are.
And Laporta has to be who they think he is.
Well, the other thing for the Eagles, too, is they added A.J. Brown.
Yes.
I guess that was a big move for them, and there hasn't been an A.J. Brown addition. I guess maybe you think Gibbs can be a game-breaking weapon right out of the box.
Right.
Then that changes everything.
They also gained a pass rusher last year in the offseason, and Riddick.
It was a game changer for them.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that guy was one of the. Did he lead NFL in sacks a year ago?
And they had hopefully Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will be for the Lions what he was for the Eagles.
Yeah. Where you take the ball away.
Yeah.
Give yourself extra possessions.
And Kirby Joseph, if he continues as a second-year player to elevate like some people hope and think, then you're talking a real game changer.
That's my point in all this is you don't know what the ceiling is yet for players like Joseph, Hutchinson, and St. Brown. And if they keep rising to Pro Bowl caliber, perennial pro, that's how you rapidly ascend in this league. And this is the league of rapid ascension. I think one thing as Detroiters, we are so used to slow, methodical builds here that is it on the table that this team could just go boom to the top.
Hey, as the great Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof.